We're going over to New Jersey to watch our kids play sports and have an indoor meal. So Governor Murphy and all the restaurants there are making a ton of dough, while Cuomo and de Blasio are killing small businesses.
Well, draconian lockdown measures are killing small businesses nationwide, especially restaurants in some states. Looking at you, California. People can't even enjoy a meal outside, and inside you can forget about it. California residents haven't seen the inside of a restaurant in months. In New York, it's much of the same. And now those small businesses being crushed under the heel of liberal leaders nationwide are fighting back. Now, earlier this month on the Chris Salcedo Show, we told you a little bit about Max Public House in Staten Island, New York, the legal battle between the pub's owner and the governor of this state, Andrew Cuomo, and his flunky, Mayor Bill de Blasio, is really heating up. Joining me now to discuss is Lou Gelarmino. He's the attorney for Max Public House. Lou, thanks so much for joining us. I want to talk to you a little bit about an update on that. How's that going right now, that particular case? Then number two, to people who are looking at Max and seeing inspiration, what are the things that we can do across the country to make sure that small businesses aren't being drummed out of business permanently?
Joe, lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Guys? Yeah, now I can hear you, Joe.
All right, so yeah, we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about an update, number one, on Max Public House, what's going on there, and then number two, what can we do to ensure that individuals all across this country, those small business owners, 100,000 of which have closed their doors permanently, can begin to fight back to ensure that they are getting the fair treatment and they have a pathway to support their families and save their livelihoods?
Well, Joe, thanks for having us. The first thing I'm proud to announce today that my partner, Mark Fontaine, and I, we had all the criminal court summonses that were given to everybody the night that Max's Public House was invaded by sheriff's deputies. We had every one of those dismissed. We got notices from the city. They were all completely dismissed, including the 3 they gave me for just being his attorneys. So that's the first step on the path to reopening Max's Public House. Now we're looking forward to being heard civilly in court this month with the hopes that we're going to get a judge to rule in our favor to get Max open as soon as possible.
Now, what are you hoping to accomplish here as far as the reopening? I know that there are talks about possibly creating a model so that not only can you help out Max, but other restaurants and bars all across the state of New York and possibly beyond will have a blueprint that they can follow to enjoy similar success.
Well, I think the first step is the step we already took. My colleagues and I have filed lawsuits, civil lawsuits all over the state and in federal court. A couple of colleagues of mine up in Erie County have had good success. They are requiring, the courts in Erie County are now requiring the city and the state to answer by Monday why the restaurants in Erie County and New York City are closed down. So I think that's the first step. The lawsuits are the first step. I think we have to take it to court. That's the first answer. The second answer is everybody has to stay united. Everybody across New York City, in California, the restaurant owners, the small business owners, we have to keep pressing the need for these governors, these mayors to hear us and say, we're hurting. The restaurant owners are hurting. The small business owners are hurting. These are good, solid, hardworking Americans. And we have to stay united to make sure that this governor of New York, this mayor of New York, understands that you're putting us in a terrible position. The restaurant owners don't want to be here on Newsmax fighting to stay open. All they want to do is serve a meal in a good, socially distant, socially responsible way.
Now, to that point, how are the owners of Mac doing, and what are the things that maybe people can do to help support that restaurant and that establishment? You've got about 15 to 30 seconds here.
Well, they're hurting, just like every other restaurant owner on Staten Island, just like every other restaurant owner in New York City. Joe, the only place that you can't have a meal in New York State is New York City. You can go to Nassau, you can go to Suffolk, you can go to Westchester, and you can sit indoors and have a meal. So every restaurant owner in New York City is really, really hurting right now. And we appreciate the support from Newsmax and your colleagues bringing attention to this matter.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.